See Sparky Fifer, Ryan Horvat, his big voice guy, just said. Follow me on Twitter at Sparky Radio. Check out the interviews and stuff I do over at 1250amthefan.com. My guy Ryan Horvat, BetMGM tonight, weeknights. Him, Trista Crick, and Nick Ashu, Monday through Friday. While you're watching the games, have them on in the background. They can give you some betting advice, in-game betting advice. Maybe look ahead to West Coast games. We're talking about college basketball or whatever the case may be. Follow Ryan Horvat on Twitter at Ryan Horvat as well. Ryan was not here on Monday, so let's catch up with Ryan on his thoughts now that he's probably calmed down a little bit after the Packers lose to the Giants on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I felt a little slimy. I wasn't too heartbroken over it. I mean, disappointing loss, but I bet the Giants +7, and then that night we do the show from BetMGM, MGM National Harbor out in Maryland, and I bet the Giants again at +6. They closed all the way down to 5.5, so they were taking money. I didn't think Green Bay was going to lose the game outright to Tommy DeVito and this Giants team, who was 4-8 coming into the game, now 5-8, obviously. But man, I didn't know how they were 6-point favorites on the road. The Giants, like the Packers, were beat up in that game, right? No Jair Alexander, no Christian Watson, obviously, no Aaron Jones. And then the Giants were coming off the bye, so they had 14 days to prepare. But still, I didn't think that they were going to lose that game just because Jordan Love, the week before against a really good, or a pretty good, I should say, Kansas City defense was blitzed 16 times. The blitz only got home 3 times, and Jordan Love picked apart the blitz. So, I thought with, Wink Martindale kind of having the same MO as I watched Jordan Love throw an interception, a bad interception right there in the first half.
He never saw the safety. You could read his lips and said, "I never saw the safety." He never saw him. He never obviously looked off the safety either because the safety was on that side of the field to begin when the play started.
LaFleur is pissed. And so, yeah, I was on the air during this game, and I've watched the All-22, and now I'm just, rewatching it while we do the pod. But, it's just like Jordan Love was rough in the first half. Still, I'm not going to put this loss on Jordan Love because he played good enough in the second half to win the game, right? Like, He made the plays. He was captain comeback once again. It reminded you a little bit of Rodgers' first season, right, where the defense lets you down. The Giants win with a walk-off field goal. So, disappointed with the defense. Tommy DeVito looked like Mike Vick out there. He was 17 of 21 passing, 158 passing yards. That is what it is. But he had 71 rushing yards. He had a touchdown passing. He had a rushing touchdown. He was escaping the pocket, stepping up in the pocket, sloppy tackling, way too many missed tackles. Hate what I saw from Darnell Savage Jr. It was like when Michael Jordan got crossed over by Allen Iverson. He snatched his ankles. That's what happened to Darnell Savage Jr. and Owens. Kayvon Thibodeau on the defensive side of the ball was an absolute nightmare for the Giants against us. Had a sack, had a pass breakup, I believe. Also had that forced fumble. He was damn good. And then their rookie corner, I wish we had a guy like that. Deonte Banks, he was all over the field. He had a team-high 12 tackles, which usually isn't a good thing for a defensive back, but, Green Bay really couldn't get anything going with the run game. Although A.J. Dillon made some big plays. Jordan Love just missed way too many throws in the first half, like the ones to A.J. Dillon underneath. But again, this isn't all on Jordan Love. Special teams continues to be a nightmare. I thought we got the right guy, right? Every year we do this with the special teams. Is it the coordinator? Is it the talent? Like, how is this an issue every single season? I texted Bart, and I was like, I'm not a Jordan Love hater. You could call me an Aaron Rodgers lover. I was a Brett Favre lover. I feel like it's going to be the same story with this organization and with this team until the day I die, though, man. Like, the quarterback play is going to be fine. The receiver play is going to be fine. The offense is going to do enough. But the defense at the end of the day or the special teams are going to let you down. That's a game that you got to win, man. I mean, and that's what scared me a little bit. You got this young team maybe buying into themselves a little bit too much, maybe reading the press clippings a little bit too much. And that's why I think LaFleur was pissed off. But at the end of the day, LaFleur can't be too pissed off at the players. He can, but he's got to be a little bit pissed off at himself. What the hell are we doing? I love the jet sweep because I love Jaden Reed. It works for the touchdown, first scoring drive of the game. But how many times are we going to run the damn thing? They saw it coming, right? I mean, didn't love the play calling, but also the guys didn't look prepared to play this game, and they should have been prepared. It was a primetime standalone game, kind of a standalone game. We had the stupid doubleheader, which what the hell what were the Dolphins doing with their defense? But anyway, so not really happy, but at least I made money.
Okay, so a couple different things. One, they're not going to win many games if Jordan Love looks like that. He can't. And part of it is the defense, fine. Part of it is special teams, fine. But he was missing throws that he has no business missing. Now, again, we talked about this a little bit on Monday after the game was over. Paul Brevlin, myself, and Packers Wire. Like, was it the wind causing issues? Were his hands cold? Like, what was going on? Because I don't remember a game all year where he was missing wide open guys in a flat, like not even remotely close to guys in the flat, like all over the place. He looked awful. Now, so that's the first thing, right? So he definitely gets some blame from me in this. The other thing is he, being Matt LaFleur, kind of quit running the football there in the fourth quarter. They just kind of abandoned the run a little bit and kind of went away from it. I thought they could have had more success running the football. Patrick Taylor, who, again,
get out of bounds, dude.
Thank you. Good God. But he was the highest graded offensive player according to Pro Football Focus for the Packers.
I got it up right now. He was good.
Right. So if he shows you something around the football, and he did, like, I think only one time where he really didn't get anything. Every other time he touched the ball, he got positive yards, 5 yards, 6 yards. He got little chunks here and there. Then use him more. Like, go back to using Taylor with A.J. Dillon in the backfield, put them both back there like it's Aaron Jones, and give him something to think about back there. If Patrick Taylor shows that he can be a threat, like if he goes in there and gets 3 or 4 good plays, like, okay, now we can change this up a little bit and expand what we want to do on the ground. I feel like kind of like, okay, we go in going, he's going to get 3 to 4 carries, and that's all we're going to do. That's it. Unless Dillon gets hurt, that's all he's playing is just this specialized area, and that's the end of it. And I don't think you have to do that. And now they have Kenyon Drake. So Drake gets another week of practice, and we'll see if he gets on the football field, and then how much run they give him. I just don't think you have to pigeon yourself into, well, A.J. Dillon's been here the longest, so we're going to give him all the touches. Like, I don't think you have to necessarily do that, Ryan. I think you can use different guys back there, and if one of them gets hot, just ride them. Just keep riding Patrick Taylor until they can show they can stop him at some point. And instead, you just bailed on him and then never went back to it.
Yeah, he was good, man. I mean, he was averaging 7 yards per carry. So why did he only get 4 touches? You know, like, why do you keep going back to the end around with Jaden Reed? Even A.J. Dillon, like, only had 15 carries for 52 yards. And sure, 3.9 per carry. But at the end of the game, that's when you wear down the defense. So I agree. I thought maybe they abandoned the run. Also, really quick, I mean, there's like a lot to get to. The special teams is an absolute nightmare. Keyshawn Nixon is an absolute nightmare. Turns out he's not Devin Hester. Was terrible on the defensive side of the ball. Was even worse just trying to return punts. Felt like it was Ty Montgomery all over again, or name your guy.
He's available. He just got released.
And then, I'm a big fan. I like the way that Isaiah McDuffie plays. I do like him. I understand why. I understand what. Yeah, well, that's what he's out there for, dude. But Rashawn Gary, disappointing to me. You had no sacks in this game. Rashawn Gary played 39 snaps, 2 tackles, 1 solo, like no tackles for a loss. Like, I get DeVito could move a little bit, man, but no sacks against the Giants. Rashawn Gary's making how much money? You saw what Kayvon Thibodeau did. That's what I'm saying. Like, I like Rashawn Gary. This isn't a knock on Gary. He could go out and have 3 sacks. I absolutely love him. It's like Kenny Clark. I hate these games where our dudes aren't Myles Garrett, TJ Watt. I get that they're not those guys, but I want Gary to be that guy. And we're paying him like he's one of those guys, right?
They're not Hall of Famers, neither one of them. I mean, Myles Garrett and TJ Watt are probably Hall of Famers. I don't think these two guys are legit, Hall of Fame type guys. They just haven't done it long enough, especially not long enough. And Clark's been doing it for a while, but I don't look at Kenny Clark and go, oh, yeah, he's destined for the Hall of Fame. You look at Myles Garrett and go, that dude's first ballot. Like, ain't no Aaron Donald, that dude's first ballot. You know who these guys are, and he's not that. And Wyatt goes down, and Devontae Wyatt goes down, and Aikman and Buck are like, oh, he's had such a great year. I've been inconsistent as far as I'm concerned. But again, you've got 2 defensive linemen that have played well when they've come in. So when he went out, I was like, whatever. Like, it didn't bother me at all that he was going out. I thought they had 2 guys more than capable of replacing with Brooks and Wooden and come in there and do their job. Probably as good, if not better, than what Devontae Wyatt has looked to this point of the year. So that didn't really bother me. But the thing to me that when we start talking about this defense and how this looks and all these young guys and no Jair Alexander out there. And I saw people tweeting, well, if Jair was out there, maybe they win this game. I don't think it would have mattered if Jair was out there. That wasn't the reason. You didn't get torched for like 175 by a single receiver.
What's he going to do? Make a tackle?
Yeah, you got beat by all facets. It wasn't like he was going to tackle Barkley. He probably wouldn't even been able to tackle DeVito at this point, to be honest with you. So from that perspective, I just don't know. Even if Jair plays, I don't know if it makes that big of a difference. Now, if Aaron Jones plays and Watson plays, that's different. Then I think, okay, now if Jordan Love's not going good early, you could turn to Jones and create some big plays, whether runs or screen passes or whatever. But Jair Alexander, with all due respect, I don't think a cornerback, unless it's Dion, he's not that, it makes a big difference in that specific game.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're going to get to this, so I'll hold off on that next take about kind of where I think this team's heading, unfortunately. But, man, that's a disappointing loss. I mean, you got to take care of business against the Giants and Tommy DeVito. Like, I know that this is a fun story because he's Italian and his agent, was dressed like a member of the Sopranos. But Tommy DeVito is no good. He's terrible. He outplayed.
People said this about Purdy last year too, and he's not that good. I'm not saying he's Purdy. I'm just saying until we see him for a full season as a starter, let's just wait and see. He has no true number one wide receiver on that team.
Him outplaying Jordan Love is a little concerning, I'll say, but I don't know.
I'm not worried about it. I said last week during the week that they were going to stumble and they were going to lose against a team that they shouldn't lose to. It was bound to happen with a young team that was going to start feeling themselves at some point. And in my opinion, that's kind of what happened. But even though it happened, you still had the lead with 1:33 to go. You played like crap in all three areas of your football team, and you had the lead with 1:33 to go with a chance to win it. And you couldn't do it.
I'm maybe I'm the a-hole here, but I'm watching the game, right? 3rd and 9, soft zone defense, and Tommy DeVito puts the ball right where it needs to be. 1st down, they clear everybody out. They go empty. Tommy DeVito, quarterback draw. I get it. Like if he's killing you or he has 71 rushing yards and he looks like Vanilla Vic out there, at what point do you go quarterback draw? You know what I mean? At what point?
They did though. When you get to the second half, you'll see Campbell. Campbell eventually sits in the middle of the field and waits on him or tries to wait on him. They did eventually do that with a spy in the second half, I think.
Maybe they win that game if Quay plays.
Maybe. But again, Quay against the run is not all that great.
Quay against anything isn't that great. None of these guys are great. That's the problem. Who's great on the defensive side of the ball? Who do you enjoy watching other than Rashawn Gary once every 3 weeks against the NFC North divisional opponent?
Yeah, Rashawn Gary. Yeah, that's the guy.
I like Jair still, but like, is he ever going to play?
I like Engelbare. I think, but again, same thing, consistency type stuff. When he gets going in a game, he's fun to watch. 55. I like him. But like you said, you're looking for a Hall of Famer, which they definitely do not have. Like AJ Hawk would lead the team in tackles every year. There's nothing exciting about watching AJ Hawk play. But he was out there and, he did his job when he was out there. So it is what it is. All right, take a quick time out. Come back. I want to talk about Joe Barry and really how responsible is Joe Barry for these losses. We'll do that coming up next. Curd and Long. Download it on your Odyssey app, wherever you download your favorite podcast at. Check us out on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page, where we stream this bad boy live when we record them Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then it's down or uploaded, I guess. You can listen to the audio version of it by 5 p.m. Central, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Back after this on Curd and Long. Hey, it's Sparky Fifer, 1250 a.m. The Fan, along with my guy Ryan Horvat. BetMGM tonight, weeknights, along with Trista Crick and Nick Ashu on the BetQL network. Watch the games, listen to these guys, get some in-game betting advice, get some advice on betting for the West Coast games, all that fun stuff. Follow Ryan on Twitter at Ryan Horvat, and you can follow me at Sparky Radio. And of course, download this bad boy on your Odyssey app, wherever you download your favorite podcast at. We said before the break, we wanted to get into a little bit about talking about our guy, Joe Barry. How much blame does Packers defensive coordinator Joe Barry truly deserve for the Packers' losses? Ryan Horvat, I saw you kind of tweeting about your dislike for Mr. Barry and so forth. We've talked about Joe Barry all year, all last year as well. How much blame does Joe Barry truly deserve for the Packers' losses in your mind?
Before I even get to Joe Barry, the special teams coordinator's got to go. Special teams,
Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah. I mean, like and anybody else like that's on his like little watch too. You know what I mean? Like they all got to go because I thought we were going to play better athletes, this and that. Every year it's an issue, and they're 20th right now in the National Football League in special teams. and that's just not going to fly for me. Defense, middle of the road, right? 15th. Packers still can't really tackle. They can't really stop the run, but they're decent against the pass. They play this soft zone coverage, which I hate. But hell, I mean, like, it confused Patrick Mahomes a couple weeks ago. I think that says everything about his wide receivers right now. So, like, Joe Barry isn't good, right? Here's how, like, Brandon Staley is not a good defensive mind, turns out, or head coach. Because we know that because the Chargers have been getting worse and worse every year defensively since he's taken over, and they have Bosa and Mack and all these dudes. And you even see it, like, they get J.C. Jackson, he sucks. Then he goes back to New England and he's playing like an all-pro again, right? Like, good coordinators, I think, can turn around a defense. What was your favorite move the Minnesota Vikings made this offseason? They didn't really do a whole lot. If anything, they kind of lost some guys. They lost Zadarius Smith. Jeez, I can't talk today. But, like, and they got a guy like Danny Hunter. But their defense went from being one of the worst pass defenses in the league that gave up 300 passing yards to Daniel Jones twice last season. He only did that 3 times last season. 2 of them came against Minnesota. Now they have a top 10 defense. They just won a football game 3-0. You think the Packers will ever win a game 3-0? So Brian Flores steps in, and he's that dude. Joe Barry is not that dude. And here's the thing that pisses me off about Joe Barry, right? There's never any adjustments. And people always are quick to be like, got to make adjustments, right? Like Mike Budenholzer, in the NBA. Budenholzer never makes adjustments. Certain people are wishing they had Mike Budenholzer now, but, like, the adjustments can be made. You just need the right coordinator. McDonald for Baltimore, right? Sometimes they play a bunch of man. Sometimes they play a bunch of zone. I'm not the biggest Wink fan because Wink does the same BS every single week, right?
No matter who he has for talent, he always does the same stuff.
You can't do that against guys like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. They're gonna score 40 points against you. So I like coordinators, head coaches that adapt, that they script, they game plan for competition. It's not the same nonsense every week. And Joe Barry, it's the soft zone every week, and he doesn't make adjustments really until it's too late. So I do put a lot of the blame on Joe Barry. All these losses aren't on Joe Barry. Some of them are on LaFleur. Some of them were on the offense. Yep. A lot of them were just like, hey, it's not Joe Barry's fault these guys can't tackle. Darnell Savage Monday night was terrible. He couldn't make a tackle to save his life. Owen, same thing. But, yeah, Barry's got to go. You got to make a change.
So I see all the Joe Barry hate on social media and all of that. If you listen to Matt LaFleur this week and his pressers this week leading up to this, after he watches the tape, or it's not tape anymore, but after he watches the game, I always say tape.
I say tape still. I say tape. Okay.
I know. Okay. So
I'm watching tape right now.
Right. After he watches the digital copy of the game, whatever, he said that, like you said, missed tackles, where there were a couple of times where you had a guy in the hole and he misses a tackle. Then you have a safety coming up and he takes the wrong angle and misses a tackle. So that type of stuff has to get cleaned up. But I'm here to tell you, and I'm sure Ryan probably could find it on Pro Football Focus. I don't go on that website. But I'm sure there is a tackle or a stat as far as defenses and missed tackles. Like, who's the best defense in the league and not missing tackles? And then who's the worst in the league? And really, how many missed tackles are separating the top to the bottom? Like, is it 10 total for the whole year? Is it 5? Is it 8? Like, how big of a gap is there? Because I think the National Football League in general has a missing tackle problem across the board. And you could say that comes down to because you don't have as many live tackling periods in training camp. You don't have as much practice time in the offseason as you were allowed to before because the Players Association decided we don't need to do all this practicing. We get paid millions of dollars. I don't want to work that hard. I only want to do as little as possible when we get to training camp. Whatever the case may be, I think that's a huge issue, okay? That's number one. Number two, when you hear LaFleur talk about what happened in the last minute 33, they were in man-to-man coverage several times. It looked like zone. The one play to Wendell Robinson down the right sidelines where that chunk play happened, he said that was Rudy Ford's guy, I want to say. I think that's who it was. Or no, Keyshawn Nixon's guy. Maybe it was Nixon. Keyshawn Nixon's guy. He wasn't anywhere close to him, and it was man. He said then there were other opportunities where guys were supposed to be according to the design of the defense. They were doing the wrong thing. He said guys just have to do their jobs what they're asked. So then a reporter followed up and said, Matt, well, okay, so you're saying they're playing man-to-man. And he goes, yeah. He goes, why are you playing 5 to 8 yards off? Is that a player decision or is that a coach's decision? He said, well, we got to get that fixed. didn't answer the question. So he repeated it back. He goes, okay, so then this is how it was kind of designed then, as far as how you want to play man-to-man or whatever. Yeah. And then he kind of went on to talk about how, we can't play that way. So they were in man-to-man, even though it looked like, based on how far off they were playing and so forth, that it was apparently zone. And then you got dudes not being in the right spot at the right time and everything else. Now, I'm going to take it a step further. When we talked about this offense, and I'm guilty, so I'm pointing at myself, and we heard guys were running the wrong routes, guys weren't doing the right things, and we said, well, they're young. Like, it's going to happen, whatever. They're going to figure this out eventually. Okay, so I didn't. I shouldn't say we. I didn't blame LaFleur. I just blamed youth. But on the defense, these are all veteran players for the most part. I mean, Keyshawn Nixon's been in the league for a while, right? I mean, these guys aren't all rookies. You got a couple rookie defensive linemen, fine. Now, corner is different, right? Valentine's a rookie. He's trying to figure it out. So is it Joe Barry's fault that they're missing tackles? Is it Joe Barry's fault that guys aren't running the plays that he's calling correctly and aren't in the correct positions? Or is it on the players for all of the above? And if somebody else was here, we'd have the same damn issues. Because I'm telling you, we went through Capers. It was Capers. He's a moron. Then we went to Mike Pettin. It's Mike Pettin. He's a moron. And now we're on Joe Barry, and it's Joe Barry is a moron. And now, again, we go hire Bill Belichick and bring Belichick in here. Or we bring Saleh in here, who both are outstanding defensive coordinators. And if the same thing happens again to where we're missing tackles, we don't know the plays, are we going to say Belichick sucks and was overrated in New England? Oh, no. Saleh, what he did in San Francisco and the Jets and defense, that's crap. Now we truly know he's not that good because he can't coach the Packers defense. See, that's where I struggle with saying, oh, it's all on Joe Barry. I'm not saying the man is great at his job or he's a top defensive coordinator. I just feel like there's more going on here than people are talking about.
Well, then if it's not on Joe Barry, then it's on Brian Gutekunst and what I talk about, in the talent that he's evaluating, the talent that he's bringing in through the draft, the talent that he's bringing in through free agency, because it's either like, hey, this scheme is fine, this scheme works, if that's what Matt LaFleur thinks or whatever, then Goody's scheme of picking guys in the draft and evaluating talent through free agency, picking these guys up off the streets, like these guys just aren't it. And a lot of it, and I get also like, he can't help the fact that Jair's not playing right now or that he drafted Eric Stokes and he hasn't been healthy since really year one. You know what I mean? So there are injuries, and Quay didn't play the other night. There's not, but still, like, you got to have
games.
You can't you can't have those excuses, man.
Savage missed games.
Right. Like, like the Baltimore Ravens have injuries every single season in the secondary and they don't just completely fall off. You know what I mean? I mean, that's why you need depth at these positions. Corner, safety and whatnot. And so it's either Joe Barry's no good, he needs to go because his scheme ain't it, or Goot's got to go. And I don't really feel very I feel like it's probably more possible. I mean, obviously there's a better chance that Joe Barry's gone next year, but I don't even know that that's going to happen.
He's not gone. No way. They make the playoffs. There's no way. We'll talk about playoffs. We'll talk about expectations. That's coming up next here. Kurt and Long, downloading your Odyssey app. Download it wherever you download your favorite podcast at. Check us out on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page. We stream these bad boys. Normally, we record right around noon Central, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then it's uploaded by 5 p.m. Central on those days to listen to. Tell your friends, tell your families, like, subscribe, get those notifications, ring that bell, do all that fun stuff that they tell you to do on all these other podcasts. Back after this on Kurt and Long. It's Kurt and Long, Steve Sparky Fifer, along with Ryan Horvat. Follow me on Twitter at Sparky Radio. You can follow him at Ryan Horvat. BetMGM tonight, weeknights, Monday through Friday. Follow along with the game. Have them on in the background. Get some in-game betting advice. Look ahead to the West Coast games as well. Get some betting advice there too. And they're highly, highly entertaining. Outside of Trista Crick, when she gets on her Golden State Warriors talk, then I can't handle it. Also, you can check out 1250amthefan.com for all the different interviews I do throughout the week as well. All right, Ryan Horvat, Packers lose to the Giants after winning 3 straight. Packer fans, in usual fashion, think the world is ending. The season's over because they lost the game and didn't look great, even though they had the lead with 1:33 left. I ask you, because expectations have been changing throughout the year for this team, I ask you, have expectations changed for you for the end of the season based on Monday Night Football and their loss, knowing 4 games ahead are all teams that aren't very good?
Well, man, I'm watching this final drive, and it looks like they are in man here, and Keyshawn Nixon just gets absolutely, like you said, just freaking torched. Like, what is he even looking at anyway? Yeah, my expectations have changed because, like, that was a game that you had to take advantage of because I actually think they lose to the Bears. I think the Bears are going to get them. I think the Bears lost that game, week 1, and they were all hyped up for the season. They believed that maybe this could be their year, and Justin Fields was their guy, and it turns out wasn't their year, and it turns out Justin Fields probably ain't their guy because, like, Justin Fields to me hasn't shown enough to. The Bears are going to have the number 1 pick because the Panthers are a disaster.
Correct.
Justin Fields is fine, right? Like, he might end up being an All-Pro, but dude, if you're Ryan Poles, you'd be insane not to draft Caleb Williams unless you're a Drake May guy.
What do you get for him? Do you get a 2 for Fields?
Look at the
Falcons. Wouldn't they make a deal for Fields over Ritter?
I was gonna say, because Atlanta's probably not going to be bad enough for Caleb or Drake,
right?
So maybe, and we got to wait and see though. I don't know if JJ McCarthy comes out. Also, JJ McCarthy hasn't looked great the last couple of weeks.
I saw a tweet today. I forgot what NFL guy said it, but in league circles, they're saying McCarthy's going to go much higher than people are mocking him at. So
yeah, to be honest with you though, before I would take Justin Fields in a trade at like 25, whatever he'll be, I would take Jaden Daniels if I could get him. And I'm not just saying that because he won me a bunch of money. He's Lamar Jackson light. He's a more accurate Lamar Jackson. He's just a more skinny version. So he's going to have to slide and get out of bounds and not take a beating, but he's good. I think he might end up being the best quarterback in this draft. And that features Caleb Williams and my guy, Drake May. He's freaking good, dude. And we're doing the same thing we did with Lamar. We're not anymore. Like, some people were saying that he's not a quarterback. He got to play receiver, but I don't see that. So yeah, I mean, that's why I thought that they had to win this game. And I know it's on the road, but it's against Tommy DeVito and the Giants. And I thought the Giants were going to be trying to tank lose as many games as possible so they could get a Drake May or a Michael Penix or whatever quarterback they want. Cause Tommy DeVito's not the guy. And Daniel Jones is definitely not the guy. Tommy DeVito right now looks better than Daniel Jones. So I worry a little bit about that Bears game, the way that they're trending down the stretch, and I think that's going to be a must-win game. I worry a little bit about the Minnesota game because both defenses right now are playing lights out. The Vikings just pitched a shutout, and the Bears, all of a sudden, nobody's talking about this. They're top 10 against the run. The secondary's actually been playing much better, and you have Eberflus coaching for his job. He wants to coach the next guy that'll be there at the number 1 pick. And you have Justin Fields playing for his career because he wants to at least start somewhere else, so he's got a ball out here. So that one scares me. Vikings scare me. I thought you really had to have this one against the Giants. Then you're a 7-win team. You're sitting right in that wild card spot. And then you could have your letdown spot here the next couple of weeks against a divisional opponent. I felt like this is a team you had to beat. They're no good, man.
I think 3-2 was probably the most legitimate thing here on the way out. So if they win 3 more games, that's 9 wins, 9-8. And I think 9-8 is going to be that last wild card. That's my thought. Because if you look at all the teams they're tied with, none of them are probably going to run the table, I don't think. Now, if somebody does run the table and they have 10 wins and you miss the playoffs at 9 wins, fine. But 9 wins in Jordan Love's first year as a starter, considering most of this fan base thought they were going to win 3 or 4 games 3 or 4 weeks ago, that is a hell of a run. In fact, take it a step farther, and I've heard this come up now. In fact, Nick Costos brought it up with Bart Winkler at CBS Sports Radio the other day. He said, if this team makes the playoffs, Matt LaFleur is going to have a chance at Coach of the Year. I mean, think about that, Ryan Horvat. If they make the playoffs, he thinks, not that he'll win it, but he'll probably be in the conversation for Coach of the Year.
I disagree. I think DeMeco Ryans is going to be the Coach of the Year.
No. Just that he's in the conversation. Top 3, top 4 coaches that you're talking about that are deserving. I think he might be there because they're the youngest offense in the National Football League. They were left for dead in the middle of the year. They've had a ton of injuries they've had to overcome. And if they win 9 games and make the playoffs, that's up. If he wins double-digit games and they win 10, right, and they win out, oh, my God. Like, that's amazing. Goot's going to get an extension. LaFleur's going to get an extension. Yeah, it's all good. Joe Barry might get an extension.
I completely disagree with the Coach of the Year market. Please, I mean, you guys could bet that if you want, but DeMeco Ryans, Sean Payton, you got to look at, nobody cares, man. Like, LaFleur.
The NFC.
Year 1, LaFleur and the team won 13 games, and everybody was talking about Aaron Rodgers being broken. Remember, Rodgers year 1 wasn't that great. It was like, hey, we're finally using Aaron Jones. hey, this team finally spent some money on some pass rushers. They won 13 games and nobody cared. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, I feel like, now that Aaron's gone, I don't know. I feel like they would look at it like, hey, Jordan Love's not a rookie. This team's not all that great.
Who's your guy in the NFC? In the NFC, give me your top 3 coaches this year in the NFC.
Kevin O'Connell, I would give over the award over Matt LaFleur. He had Kirk Cousins and the Vikings playing pretty good football. Like you said, left for dead, right? They took a defense that was 32nd against the pass, now improved. A top 10 defense. They just won a game 3-0 where Josh Dobbs stunk, got benched. They had to bring in Nick Mullins. Not even Kyle Shanahan, the QB whisperer, could win with Nick Mullins, and they won that game 3-0. And
if they make the playoffs, the playoffs, I agree.
They lost Justin Jefferson, right? They moved on from Delvin Cook, even though he's no good. People don't know that. People don't watch ball. The offensive line was terrible last year outside the top 20. So, I would have to go him. Sean McVay, the Rams were projected to win 4 games this season.
If they could make the playoffs. I think you have to be in the playoffs to win Coach of the Year. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think whoever wins Coach of the Year is going to have to be in the postseason. Like Philly, no. San Francisco, no. Those are all expectations. Dallas, no. That's all expected. Like those guys, to me, those 3, Sirianni and whatchamacallit, Shanahan and McCarthy. I don't think they win because they're doing all the stuff that was expected of them.
Oh, Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy. I think Dallas might end up winning the NFC.
Said they were going to the Super Bowl before the season.
Yeah, so Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore's gone. Everybody was like, oh, the game's passed Mike McCarthy by. And now not only do you have one of the top defenses in the league, you have the top offense, and they're doing trick plays that actually work. Yeah. Their end rounds actually work. CeeDee Lamb looks like a number 1 wide receiver. Brandon Cooks hasn't looked this good in years. They have no run game. Tony Pollard is not an every down back. And Dak looks like the MVP of the league right now. How about McCarthy getting some love? It's either Dak's the MVP or McCarthy's Coach of the Year. I'm not saying it's like a bad Costos take or anybody that bets the market's dumb. I'm just saying, like, I feel like it would be because, like, these football, like, guys that think they, like, know ball, like Warren Sharp, like 4 weeks ago, they were writing articles, Green Bay has a coaching problem. LaFleur needs to be fired. I just don't know that that's escaped everybody's memory yet. Whereas, like, you know what I mean? Some of these teams in the AFC, Sean Payton is a flashy name, and Russ Wilson really looked like dump. They might sneak into the playoffs. I'm fine with LaFleur getting it. I'm not
saying he's going to win it. I'm just saying he's going to be in the conversation.
Dan Campbell wins it. I'm no longer a fan of this league.
Dan
Campbell is so overrated. I can't wait till Ben Johnson leaves and the Lions go back to being the Lions.
Ben Johnson's getting a bunch of flack in Detroit right now.
I was going to say, is he even good?
Yeah, Ben Johnson's getting some questions thrown his way in Detroit right now by how things are being used. And now they're saying they're going to use Jameson Williams more going forward. So I bet you'll start to see more reverses for him and trying to get him more touches in a game. We'll see.
Hey, here's the thing, really quick on that. I don't want to overreact to that because I don't know that it's Ben Johnson. I think he'll be fine. I think he's still like the next big thing as a head coach. I think it's Goff, and I think it's like the last couple matchups. I've been betting against Detroit. I actually like Detroit this weekend against the Broncos because Detroit's at home in the Dome. Goff's a great quarterback when he's at home in the Dome with a strong run game, all of his weapons.
Defense, though.
He sucks when he's on the road, when he's pressured and he's throwing the ball into the wind and into crappy conditions. He doesn't have the best arm. And that's why I think this might be the last year for Goff. I would rather see what you have in Hendon Hooker. I don't think he could get you to that next level. He's shown that he can. He got the Rams, went to the Super Bowl with the Rams, couldn't get them past the next level. And then Stafford went there and they won a Super Bowl year 1. Goff, yeah, I mean, because look at the teams they would have to beat, right? San Francisco on the road. At least it's warm weather. Philadelphia on the road. Good luck. Dallas on the road. It's not happening.
All right, there he is. Ryan Horvat will come back. We'll do this again Friday. We'll look ahead to Packers and Buccaneers. The Buccaneers game was the one that was the one I thought that they would slip up and look horrible and lose. That was the game I thought was going to happen because you come off of a Monday night win, you're 4 wins in a row. Now it's just a noon game at Lambeau. You go, it's the Buccaneers. We got this. And now I think I feel pretty good about it. The other thing you didn't bring up is I picked them to beat the Giants, and you yelled at me when I did it. Yeah. And you're like, you're going to jinx them, you idiot. What are you doing? Don't do that. Picked them to win, and then I obviously did jinx them, so I apologize.
I meant to yell at you about it, but I forgot, so you're lucky.
So there you go. That's another edition of Curd and Long. We'll talk to you next time. Have a good one. Toodles.